everybody on YouTube who are watching this on the archives. Thank you all for tuning in. Okay, so, Sonic movie. Where do I start with this thing? Okay, so, Thursday was it? It's been a blur this week. I went to go see the hashtag Sonic movie. Oh wow, I'm using the wrong trailer too, right? Okay. No, we're just gonna roll that in the background anyway. Okay. Saw the Sonic movie, came out of it going, yeah, that was a movie. What's most important before I get into the actual review is I went to see it and there was an actual crowd there. We had everything from parents with children to like teenagers wearing their Sonic shirts, and of course people my age coming in with the Sonic gear on. And yeah, the audience, I will say, it was a good mixed audience, so I could kind of gauge audience reactions based on what was happening in the film. Let me think. Okay, what do I want to cover first? Let's start with the plot, shall we? Totally not on purpose. Alright. Totally, we can keep this spoiler free. Mike, oh no. The plot. Again, I'm gonna keep this as spoiler free as possible, so I'm gonna try to dance around finer plot details, things that you guys might be interested in if you haven't seen the movie yet. So right off the bat, when it opens up, you get. I'm gonna also be doing the bingo card, updating that after we are done with the review here, so we can see what I got right and what I didn't get right. So, starting right off the bat. The movie lets us know what kind of film we're getting ourselves into. If you have never played a Sonic game before, or if you've never seen Sonic by some chance you're an adult who has never played a video game before, this movie does a pretty decent job of covering what you kind of need to know as far as like, why is this blue anthropomorphic hedgehog running around in our world acting a fool and stuff like that. You're not going to get really deep reasonings or lore or anything behind it. They kind of briefly cover that in like 5 minutes. The opening scene, again, I'm gonna try to dance around those spoilers. Can you lower the music a bit? It overpowers you. Okay, hang on. Lower in the volume. Just a smidge. Is that better? That's much better? Alright, good. With the opening, if you've seen the trailers with the baby Sonic running around, I wouldn't even call that baby Sonic, that's more like kid Sonic. And you've seen that trailer where he's running around and we all kind of saw particular things in that trailer we pointed out. There's a little more to that than what the trailer let on. God, how do I talk about this film actually spoiling? I'm not gonna talk too deep into it, but that right there is your opening bit of the movie that explains what world Sonic comes from and how he got to our planet. So if you're thinking this is a whole video game cliche dump of video game character comes to our world, now we must help video game character get back to his world while also going through some crazy antics, it's kind of that, but not 100% following that trope and cliche. There are a ton of cliches and tropes in this one though. But for the most part, I feel they kind of took a few liberties here and there with our character. I gotta get this trailer off my screen. I can't be looking at this design. This thing's awful. See if I can pull up the other trailer. Once Sonic gets to our world and we get our human characters, the human characters I personally feared were going to take up the majority of the film, I am thankful to report to all of you, the humans are not stealing the show 95% of the time. A la the Michael Bay Transformers films, or, where it's like you come to see one thing in the film and meanwhile you're sitting here watching these humans as, oh, I gotta go and do the big meeting to make sure I get my big promotion. And the kid's left at home all alone and his dad doesn't love him because he didn't get to take him to the ball game. Here comes video game character to interrupt and show him what friendship is like. It kind of avoids all that. Sonic, when he eventually meets our human characters, they're fine. I believe the main human guy is James Marsden, I believe. I remember this guy's name correctly. He's okay. He's completely passable, doesn't particularly do anything that makes him over the top. But the real reason you're here, the only human character you all are here for, the one you care for the most, that man right here on screen, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey. Crystal knows. The Jim Carreyisms from the 90s, when they said that Jim Carrey's going to carry this movie, I'm also happy to report that he's not the only reason you want to see this movie. He's a strong reason if you happen to like the 90s version of Jim Carrey, where he's crazy and over the top. He definitely brings that in this film. He does a really good job I'm going to say this. His take on Eggman, or I'm going to call him Robotnik because they call Eggman Robotnik in this film. He is not Eggman by name. Robotnik, his take on Robotnik is extremely fun. I'm trying to think of the best like combination of previous Eggmans we've had before. He's like a mix of a tiny, like a tablespoon of Sat-AM Robotnik, that very kind of menacing version, mixed with the over-the-topness of Adventures of Sonic Eggman, where he's like, you know, talking craziness all non-stop. And a little bit of the Mike Pollock in there as well. Like, you get like 3 Eggmans in one. This Eggman is a little bit... He can be a little menacing at times, despite how silly he is. He kind of has his intense moments here and there. You're not gonna see, trying to think here. Yeah, he's kind of intense, but extremely funny when he needs to be. So, honestly, when it came to casting Jim Carrey for Eggman, I'm really glad they did that, because I'm gonna be honest, if it were up to me, I don't know who the heck I would have casted as Robotnik in this film. I'm gonna be calling him Eggman or Robotnik, because I've been brainwashed to calling him Eggman in the games now. Yes. So, overall, great take on it. I don't know who I would have picked, but Jim Carrey is definitely living up to the role here. Real talk, there's about 2 serious movie shows that were good, but everything else, he shines when he's silly. Yeah, it honestly depends on the Sonic story, doesn't it? It's like, some stories require Eggman to be more intense and serious, like the Sat-AMs, the Underground, but then there's the other takes where he's just either stupid and silly, like Adventures of Sonic, and the Sonic OVA, he was kind of not taken seriously in that too. Sonic X kind of mixes both. He can do a little bit of both. That's what Jim Carrey is in this one. Trying to think of the other human characters. No, not really. Tika Sumpter, I believe, is the other female human lead in this. She really doesn't get a lot of screen time in this. She's kind of there to complement the action that happens. A lot of the reason the humans are here is to get things moving from point A to point B, to get our character, our boy here, Sonic, to where he needs to be. This is a buddy road trip film, as you can see on the trailer right here. Majority of the film, about 50% or more of this film, is going to be with James Marsden, I forget the actual, Tom, and Sonic going on their antics out there. Oops, I just knocked my controller off the desk. Trying to think. Let me cover. Yeah, things get moving relatively quick. There's not a lot of downtime in this film. So if you're here for the Sonic stuff, or whether you're here for the Jim Carrey stuff, you'll be happy to know that Sonic is 50% of the film, and the other time Sonic is not on screen, it's usually going to be Robotnik on screen. So you're going to be getting one or the other. If you came for Jim Carrey, you're going to be happy to know he's in this film quite a bit, as well as you'd expect from our main villain. There are a lot of Easter eggs in this. For the Sonic fans, if you're not a Sonic fan, you're probably going to miss a lot of these. You're not going to catch a lot of them, but if you're familiar with the Sonic games at least, you're going to pick up on a lot of things. Like, you're going to hear things that you're like, hey, isn't that... Yeah, that totally was. And if you're in a theater like I was, you're going to hear, like, people reacting to things where it felt like I was watching a Marvel movie in a way, because some of the people I was watching it with were very enthusiastic. I will say this is not so much a spoiler because it happens in the first with the logo of the Sega logo at the very beginning. They showed a lot of the Sega IPs in there. when it does the big dramatic zoom out, you see like all these little panels of different Sega games. You see Sonic, you see Valkyria Chronicles, Yakuza, Puyo Puyo, Golden Axe, like all of that stuff in there. So technically speaking, all the Sega characters have shown up in one way, in some shape or form on the movie screen. Samba de Amigo is in the Sonic film if you want to be technical about it. But then afterwards it goes like, it zooms out and it's like the Sega logo. But then it says after that, original film. Which makes me wonder if they're going to be trying to pull a MCU style thing where it's like, who knows, Streets of Rage movie. Echo the Dolphin would be sick, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that right there. Hang on, the trailer. I didn't realize the trailer actually showed that. But here, let's see if we can slow it down a little bit. But let's see. Yeah, this is sped up, but this is kind of how this is actually the montage right there. But yeah, that, and then afterwards it says Sega original film, and I was like, huh, are they gonna eventually get to doing like a Sega Cinematic Universe, which would be pretty sick? The new Shining games have appeared on the big screen. Oh god. No, we don't talk about that. But yes, I lost track of what I was talking about here. The plot is pretty much what you would think it would be in one of these films. As far as buddy road trip film between mascot character and human guy. It's a little better than that, but not by much. If they had taken a little bit more... If they had tried to be a little more creative with it, it would have been... It would have went from good to great, I feel. This is a good film. If this was just your generic film without... Let's replace Sonic with just a generic, I don't know, CG character. This film probably would have been about a 5 out of 10. Just completely average because it's exactly what you think it is. Character messes up. Government is after him. Human guy has to get character to MacGuffin to get character back on track. And that's kind of how this is. They go from everywhere around this, going from... Where is this? Where's Green Hills even? I forgot. Is it Montana? I forget the state it takes place in, but they're going from there to California for a specific reason that I won't mention because that might be a kind of spoiler. Yeah, overall, the film was pretty good. I am so glad, I will say this, that they did the redesign because there are a ton of moments in this film where cutesy scenes where Sonic is emoting would have been nightmare fuel. Would have had children running and screaming out of the theaters if they had used the old designs for this. I like the post-credit scene where DDD, voiced by Samuel Jackson, approached Sonic and invited him to join them. Yeah, everybody's like, at the end of the film, Detective Pikachu shows up to Sonic. He's like, I'd like to talk to you about the Smash Brothers Initiative. And it's like the Smash Brothers Cinematic Universe. Sonic and Pikachu got zapped in the World of Light cutscene into the movie universe. But trying to think, is there anything else I have not covered? Yeah, when I was mentioning Easter eggs earlier, this obviously is not canon to any of the games or comics or anything before it. This is its own complete canon. And something that happens in the first 10 minutes of the film, I might do a little spoiler part. I'm going to put some big spoiler words on the... Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about spoilers now, but if I do talk spoilers, I'm going to put like a big old spoilers word on the screen so you guys can mute it while I talk about that, and then don't unmute until I take the spoiler words off the screen. Because there are some things I do want to talk about as far as spoilers go. Right-click on the vid and click loop. There's a... What? There's a loop feature? That's sick. Okay, that definitely helps. So I can just focus on talking. As most of you, I'd imagine, are Sonic fans, I'd recommend you go see this film. It's about as good as you'd expect, but a little better than you'd hope. Don't go in expecting, like... I'm trying to think of what's the best kids film I've ever seen. Specifically for kids. I can't... Like, I'm trying to think of my favorite one of these movies. Character meets human. Roger... Don't go in expecting Roger Rabbit, essentially. Just go in kind of expecting a average to good family-friendly flick, and you'll wind up having a good time. If you guys have not seen the movie, this gets a recommend from me. I'm gonna give this film a 7.8 out of 10. I do want to say, if they get to doing a sequel, I feel the sequel will nail this. Like, it will feel on point, I feel, if they get the sequel, because I would love to see Jim Carrey coming back as Robotnik to do more antics with Sonic, because this film is actually kind of fun. You'll get something out of this. Even if you're not a Sonic fan, I feel if you have a kid who wants to see this film, even you'll get something out of this. There's some jokes in here that don't land, but a lot of them that do land, I've got a pretty good reaction out of my audience. So, in general, yeah, good. Recommended. Is there anything else I want to talk about before I get into the spoiler talk? Let me think. It'd be going into deeper plot points, but suffice to say, Sonic does show up on screen in some form. I'm not gonna explain how or why. You'll know when you see it. Yeah, okay. Now let's get into spoiler talk. I'm gonna put the spoiler words on screen. So for those of you who have not seen the film yet, who are going to see the film, mute the stream. As you see these words on the screen right here, spoilers. Alright, if you don't want to hear the spoilers, mute the stream until these words get off screen. Once these words have disappeared like this, you're safe. But until then, don't unmute the stream. There, you've been warned.